is in Beijing for a key strategic dialogue with his Chinese counterpart. A number of highly sensitive issues are expected to be discussed. I'll be talking with former Indian Foreign Secretary and former Indian Ambassador to China and a prominent Chinese scholar. And on a different topic, I'll be talking to an international movie star on how she plans to fight against the #1 killer of youths worldwide. Welcome to The Point. I'm Liu Xin. As usual, we start with the world at a glance, and US President Donald Trump has appointed a new national security advisor, Army Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, a man whose views differ from those of his boss on a number of issues. For instance, the McMaster regards Moscow as an adversary rather than a potential partner, as Donald Trump has been arguing. He recently cited Russia's action in Crimea and support for rebels in eastern Ukraine as evidence of Russia's broader effort to collapse the post-World War II order in Europe and replace that with something that is more to Russia's interests. McMaster is a military intellectual whose ideas have been shaped by experience. So the question has to be asked, who is likely to win out in this apparent conflict of world views, McMaster or Donald Trump himself? And can we conclude that Trump has made another U-turn on foreign policy issues in appointing McMaster? The mixed signals coming out of the White House are simply too confusing. Now, an Israeli soldier who killed a wounded and defenseless Palestinian attacker in a high-profile case has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for manslaughter. Many Israelis have sympathy for him, as Palestinian attackers have carried out numerous stabbing and shooting attacks. The case has fueled a heated debate in Israel over when and how soldiers are entitled to use lethal force against attackers, as virtually every family has a member who is serving or has served in the military. The Palestinians have described the sentence as a quote-unquote sick joke. Now the soldiers' defense team have said they will appeal against the verdict, and there is the possibility of the soldier getting the sentence reduced. Now, the case does remind me of a story we discussed earlier this week when 7 policemen in Hong Kong were sentenced to 2 years each for beating up a defenseless protester. And this Israeli soldier gets 18 months for manslaughter. I know these are different cases and cannot be compared simplistically, but it does give me pause for thought. And finally, France's far-right presidential candidate Marine Le Pen refused to don a headscarf for a meeting with Lebanon's top Sunni cleric on Tuesday and walked away from the scheduled appointment after a brief squabble at the entrance. The debacle drew the focus to her strong support for secularism and a proposal in her presidential platform that promotes banishing headscarves and other obvious religious symbols in all public spaces. In this instance, Le Pen said she had informed her host the night before and she would not wear the scarf, but the host didn't cancel the meeting. Many would argue that Le Pen's visit to Lebanon was aimed at trying to raise her international profile and press her pro-Christian stance, a tactic that seemed to have worked. But it leaves a bitter taste in the mouth when politicians choose to ignore religious norms in order to raise their popularity back home. India's Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar is in Beijing for a strategic dialogue with his Chinese counterpart. Now, Executive Vice Foreign Minister Zhang Yeoh. This is the first upgraded strategic dialogue between the two countries at the Foreign Secretary level. India and China agreed to hold the talks during Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to India last August. Some Indian media described the meeting as key because the two sides are expected to touch upon sensitive issues, including India's bid to join the nuclear suppliers group. Another contentious issue is on whether to list the chief of the Islamic fundamentalist group, Jaish-e-Mohammed, as terrorist by the UN's definition. Will the two sides narrow their differences during this round of strategic talks? Joining me today for discussion is Ambassador Salman Haidar, former Indian Foreign Minister and former Indian Ambassador to China, and Dr. Li Li, Deputy Director of the Institute of South and Southeast Asian Asian and Oceanic Studies at the China Institute of Contemporary International Relations. Welcome to the show. To the two of you. Now, let me first ask Ambassador Haidar, how do you look at the significance of this new key China-India strategic dialogue?
Well, periodically, it is necessary for the countries, India and China, to upgrade their relations, to find new ways of relating to each other. We've seen over the last few years various efforts to strengthen relationships, to upgrade, to put in more senior people and more authoritative interlocutors from both sides in order to discuss matters of mutual interest. I think that Mr. Jaishankar's visit is the latest in this series and a very welcome one in my view, because it is a good period, a good time when the world is undergoing considerable change, when multipolarity is becoming much more prominent in global affairs. It's good that these two major countries, India and China, should compare notes, should exchange views and see what common perceptions they have on these new developments.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Lee, how do you look at the recent development of India-China, China-India relations over the past few years and the significance of this meeting?
As you know, China-India relations nowadays is one of the most important bilateral relations in the world. So in my view, it is very important for the two countries, especially for the working levels, especially for the foreign ministries to exchange. And as you know, there are also a lot of challenges facing both China and India bilaterally and regionally and also internationally. So I think it is very important to make regular exchanges.
Let me come to one of the topics that have been regarded as very sensitive and might feature during this round of talks is India's effort to ascend to the nuclear supplier group. And Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Geng Shuang had recently said at a regular press briefing last Friday, he says that the Chinese side sticks to the two-step approach, which requires the nuclear supplier group members to work out a solution applicable to all non-NPT states, meaning the new non-proliferation treaty states, and on that basis to deliberate on specific non-NPT states joining. India and all other applicants are subject to the same standard. Dr. Lee, it is a little bit technical here. Help us understand, what is China trying to say here? Because some are accusing China of being the blockade for India from joining this nuclear supplier group.
Yeah, I think it's unfair to say that China is blocking India because up to now this issue has never been put on the formal agenda of NSG. Of course, there are some informal discussions. So I think the key point here is the non-NPT countries, how to let them to join this nuclear NSG.
Nuclear supply.
Yeah, this group. So the problem is about the credibility of this international non-proliferation regime. So to be a responsible, country, I think China and also some other NSG members, they share the view of China, how to, make it fair or acceptable to everybody. Because for NSG, it needs consensus, and it is very important to, to set up a standard or a universal condition for everybody to accept, and then let's discuss the individual issue.
Yeah, right now we know there are about 3 non-signatory states that are not members to the Non-Proliferation Treaty that include India, Pakistan and Israel, and it is a pity that the DPRK withdrew from the treaty in 2003. Ambassador Haidar, let me come to you. What is the reaction of China's stance in India that the nuclear supply group first needs to have a set of principles before individual entry cases can be discussed, namely the case for India?
From what I understand, Pakistan feels that if India is to be part of the nuclear suppliers group, Pakistan too has a right to be there. Now that is for the international community to judge, to see what their capacities are and what their commitment in nuclear restraint has been over the last few years and what we can expect for the future. Now I think to link India and Pakistan in this manner is not helpful. India has been a responsible and restrained member of the international community on nuclear matters. The question of the NPT is not because India has kept out of it, not because it seeks to have some kind of freedom to violate the NPT. In fact, India has time and again said that it will abide by all the provisions and its own dealings on nuclear matters are transparent. But because they feel because we feel, India feels, that the NPT is a discriminatory treaty and from its origin, and that it discriminates against some countries like India. Therefore, India has kept away from it, but that does not mean that it seeks to damage or to violate the provisions of that treaty.
Yeah, Dr. Lee, what is China's reaction to that saying from the Indian side?
Yeah, in my opinion, as you know, in 2008, actually, India already got a waiver for its cooperation, international cooperation, in terms of the civic nuclear, international cooperation. So I think India is has already enjoyed a privilege. So after that, actually many countries asked why India is different. And for this time, it is very important because now we are talking about the membership of this NSG. So I think it is very important to reach a consensus. As you know, as we know, now they're not only China, but also some other countries, some other members, they share the view of China.
Let's come to another topic because we have very limited time. Let's come to this discussion about China's cooperation with Pakistan on the economic corridor that is seemed to be causing some concern on the Indian side. Some Indian media have called this a question of sovereignty because this corridor passes through the area of Kashmir. Dr. Lee, what is China's stance on this?
Yeah. Personally, I totally, understand the stance of India because I know the concern about from the Indian side. I think this, territory, the so-called territorial concern from the Indian side is about Kashmir dispute between India and Pakistan. Because the Indian side claims the POK, the so-called Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. If we look at the Indian map, it shows that China and Pakistan don't share any border. So from my personal understanding, I can totally understand the Indian stance. But what I want to point here is that the CPEC does not...
or the economic corridor.
Yeah. does not mean that China, because I know the Indian concerns is that this CPEC will help Pakistan to justify its claim on the Kashmir it occupied. But I don't think China has changed our stance or position on the Kashmir issue. Actually, China has repeatedly emphasized that we support India and Pakistan to solve the Kashmir dispute, bilaterally. And also we have that 1963 China-Pakistan border treaty, which in that treaty it's already identified how to solve the problem after India and Pakistan in future solve their dispute.
Very limited time. Let me come to Ambassador Haidar very quickly, please. What is your reaction to this? And please keep your answer short.
Sorry, am I supposed to say something here?
Let me ask you, what is your expectation, let's say, for this round of strategic dialogue between India and China? Very briefly, please.
For the strategic dialogue, I think that in a multipolar world, which progressively more and more multipolar with new centers of authority, new centers of development in the world, which have put pressure on the post-World War II system that till now has existed and dominated world events. I think that change is in the air. It is inevitable. It is happening. As I said, new countries have emerged. They have emerged today. This is a matter, it's a process that's been going on for some time now.
Yeah, Ambassador Haidar.
I think at a time like this,
Ambassador Haidar, I'm sorry to be, I have to jump in here. We're running out of time. Thank you very much for joining us today, and Dr. Li from China to talk about this very important subject. Indeed, many in China and in India have this shared view that relations between the world's two most populous countries and fastest growing countries need to get better, and there is huge potential. Hopefully, this new high-level exchange will go some way towards that direction. The World Health Organization says road traffic accidents remain a global public health problem. According to the group's global status report on road safety, road crashes kill around 1.2 million people and injure some 50 million more every year. The United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety 2011 to 2020 says traffic accidents kill more people aged 15 to 29 than any other cause of death. The Global Road Safety Film Festival was held in Geneva from February the 20th to the 21st to raise public awareness on this issue. So what happens when the medium of filmmaking is employed to help end road injuries and accidents? And what can China do to promote safety on the world's roads? I am joined today by award-winning actress to discuss just that. You know her from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and the James Bond movie Tomorrow Never Dies. But for years, she's lent her voice to one of the most significant issues of our time, road safety. Let's welcome Michelle Yeoh, United Nations Global Road Safety Ambassador and a member of the high-level jury of the Global Road Safety Film Festival 2017. Michelle, thanks very much for joining us. Now, the 2017 Global Road Safety Film Festival received 10 films from Chinese organizations and institutions. The Chinese film Distracted Driving, produced by the Road Traffic Safety Research Center of the Ministry of Public Security, won the second prize. How did you like these Chinese movies?
I found that well, first of all, good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be on your show, and I am so happy that you are taking a great interest in the road crashes and road safety awareness. We wrapped up the film festival yesterday here in Geneva, and yes, China won the second prize for Distracted Driving. It was a very, very powerful film that showed the tragedy not only just for the victims, but for the person who causes the accident. This is something, film is a very powerful medium because it reaches out to the audience on a very rational, on a sensible side, but also on a very emotional side. And we have to get our audiences to understand why road crashes, why road safety is so important for every single person, not just for yourself, for every road user. Think about it. The minute you step out your door, you are a road user. And you have to be aware of what are the things that could, in a second, be very horrific or very tragic in your life.
Yeah, indeed. People don't normally think of road safety as the #1 killer for the 15 to 29-year-olds, and it's really shocking to understand that indeed this is the biggest danger. And we know there are many different kinds of aspects to road safety. For instance, there's the drunk driving factor, there is the distracted driving factor, and I understand that the top winning film this year is exactly about drunk driving. Exactly what are the dangers of such behaviors on the road?
Well, we have to now change bad behavior. As an individual, we must accept the responsibility for good behavior. As you have listed, the biggest problems we face is speeding, drunk driving, as simple as not putting on your safety belt, not wearing your helmet. When you're a road user, you're not just someone who drives the car, someone behind the wheel. You could be a pedestrian, and it is at least 30–40% of the victims are pedestrians who are killed just by walking, cycling, motorcyclists. So there's so many different aspects of it. When you look at the films that have been submitted, you find that a lot of them concentrate a lot on distracted driving, or not just for drivers, but also for pedestrians. When they cross the roads, they are texting, they are not looking, they're not aware of what is happening around them, and that is one of the biggest dangers. The one good news that we have is we have the vaccines, we have the answers, we have the good practices for how we can solve these problems to be able to halve the numbers of fatality in 5 years. And that was the target for the global decade of action for road safety from 2011 to 2020. And unfortunately, because of motorization, urbanization, we have not been able to reach the targets as quickly as we wanted. So that's why through the film festival, we are reaching out to a bigger audience, and we are reaching out to not just the government level, but everyone on every different levels.
Indeed. As we can see that in China, if you walk around, everybody has a phone in their hand, and almost everybody is watching their phone while they're walking or while they're taking the subway, and maybe a lot of them are watching their phone while they're driving. Indeed, a horrible thing. And China is also the most populous country, also a developing country, so a lot of factors together means that a huge challenge. I understand China is one of the regions that's most affected by road safety, that is East Asia and Middle Eastern countries. What role do you think a country like China can play, and what can the country contribute to improving road safety in the future?
I think China has an opportunity to play one of the most influential and most important role, not just for our region, but to set an example globally as well. As you can see, China is developing really fast with the urbanization, and so city plannings are very important. That's where the road safety aspects can come in right from when you build your city. The other hat I wear is I am part of the UNDP. I'm a Goodwill Ambassador, where I try and promote the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and we are very happy that road safety has been added in across the board when it comes to the cities, urbanization, motorization, environment. It's in there as well. So China has such a crucial, and it is a very important role, because you have about 58,000 fatalities every year, and those are unnecessary. That's only the data that's been collected. So there are so many ways to approach it, from very simple, engaging the laws, which is like putting on your safety belts in front and at the back, wearing the safety helmets, making them absolutely important and crucial to do so. Enacting that law would already immediately by half the number of fatalities on the roads. China has always been able to demonstrate to the rest of the world, when there is a will, there is a way. And I hope that we will put that will in place.
And is that why you choose to become the Global Road Safety Ambassador? And what is your ultimate plan or dream in the future?
Zero fatalities is all our dreams. Why am I doing it? Because I find it unacceptable that 500 children die every day, 500 children die on the roads. Maybe just as simple as wanting to get to school and back home. I find it unacceptable that it is the #1 killer for our youths between the ages 15 and 29. Is unacceptable because we have the vaccines, we have the know-hows, and now we just have to engage everyone. I think through all that you will see with the films that have been made is to make the awareness, to engage everyone, not just from the government side, the political will, but every single person, because it is our human rights to have safer roads. But we also need the participation and engagement of every single human being to make our roads a safer place.
Thank you very much, Michelle Yeoh, for joining us today and talk about this very important subject. As much as we can talk about security and strategic dialogue, the fact is that in the age group 15 to 29, more people die around the world as a result of road accidents than from any other cause. The fact that many people choose to ignore this or are simply unaware of this doesn't make it less important for everyone to receive a proper education on best practice in road safety. So buckle up, concentrate and take care, and hopefully we'll meet up again tomorrow at the same time.